Houston Dynamo, Portland Timbers, Sporting Kansas, Los Angeles Galaxy,
Beach Pass,
Toronto FC, Real Salt Lake, Chicago Fire, Columbus Crew, FC Dallas, New York Red Bulls.
Pitch Pass, your all-access credential to the people that matter in MLS. Here's your host, Greg Roach.
How good is it to have MLS back in our lives for real? What a great opening weekend. We're going to break down everything that happened this past weekend in MLS, and it was a lot with Taylor Twellman, ESPN analyst. We'll have him on a little bit later. First, though, let me send you to pitchpass.com. In addition to all the ways you can find this particular podcast through iTunes, Buzzsprout, or YouTube, or whatever, we also have some interesting articles up there as well, including one from Sebastian Salazar, who wrote a really cool piece about Sepp Blatter's derogatory comments about MLS. He actually asked some international players who play in MLS what their thoughts were on Sepp's comments. So that's very interesting. Pitchpass.com, so go there for that. Bring in a guy, though, to start off the show, who actually didn't even play this past week. He is, and I will say it, a legend at New England Revolution. He's Matt Reis. Matt?
Yes, hello.
How are you, sir?
I am doing well, thank you.
I appreciate you checking in with the podcast. Thank you very much.
Sure.
What'd you do this past weekend?
What did I do this past weekend?
Yeah, because I felt like the Revs were like the kid not invited to the birthday party. So like everybody else is playing and jumping around on the moon bounce, and you guys are at home doing whatever it is you guys did.
Well, ironically, we did have a birthday party.
We weren't invited to that one is the question. You had your own birthday party.
No, not mine. Mine's at the end of the month, but my oldest son had a friend's birthday party. So yeah, there were birthday parties, but it wasn't really like MLS birthday party.
How old is the oldest son?
Oldest son is 6.5, and then I have identical twins that are 3.5.
Okay, so
all boys.
So you threw down what? Bounce you, Little Jim, romp and roll style. What'd you do?
Well, we've done it all for the boys, but this was the candlepin bowling, the Massachusetts bowling with the little balls and the small pins.
I always think to myself, is that a good investment opportunity? Because it feels like they book these things, they're packed to the gills, but then you got to worry about all the legal stuff if something goes wrong.
Yeah. There's especially out here, there's definitely a lot of time from the months of December to now where there's snow on the ground.
Indoors. Everybody
goes indoors. So yes, there is money to be made there.
I'm just giving you some things to think about, Matt. I mean, I know you can't play. You can't play forever.
You're a couple years late on that one. I've already looked into that.
So what did you? Did you watch any of the matches over the weekend? What did the team? Did you guys have the practice? What happened this weekend in Revs land?
Yeah, we did a scrimmage, inter-squad scrimmage on Saturday. We had Sunday off. So yeah, we did our own little final tune-up, and then Sunday was off. Watched some of the games Saturday, and then some of the games Sunday. It was good.
How much does that suck, though? I mean, it's the first weekend of the season. Everybody wants to play. Everybody's kind of like over training camp, and instead of kicking off your season, you guys are having another scrimmage. Yeah, no, it's it going into it, so it's not surprising. It's not like they canceled the game. So we knew it going into it. We weren't overly hyped up about playing. So, it's just the way things go. And unfortunately, with the odd number of teams, one team had to sit out, and it was us. Well, maybe Don was thinking of you, being that you're going to be 38 at the end of the month, and thought, you know what, let's give him a bye week to start the season. Yeah, well, if he was really looking out for me, he would do it kind of in the middle half of the season when I really need it. So is it an advantage that you got to see the Fire play? Or is it not a big deal? And you guys are still to them kind of a wild card. Yeah, no, I think it definitely is an advantage. I think definitely to know kind of what they look like and how, because they do have a little bit of a different look to them with Jeff and Limper in there. So it is a little bit of a different look, and yeah, we do get to kind of
see the bride before she walks down the aisle, but we got to really focus on ourselves more than we focus on other teams.
Yeah, and since they got taken out to the woodshed by the Galaxy, it's almost a detriment because now it's like, all right, you're going to get a fired up team who's going to be wanting to actually show their best foot after last week's debacle.
Mm-hmm. And it's ironic that their name is The Fire, too.
Why is that, Matt?
Because they're fired up.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll serve them up to you the whole interview, and you can just keep knocking them out. I like that. All right, so what is it like for you at this stage of your career? You've been the undisputed number one for a really long time in New England, and this year you're in a bit of a battle. How is that helpful to you as you go into this season?
Even though you can say that I was undisputed number one, there's always pressure. There's always, somebody there that's trying to take your spot. So, I think if you look back in the beginning of my career when Kevin and I were together, I think, that competition made us both really, really good. So, I'm enjoying it, and I'm kind of at this stage in my career knowing that there's, a couple seasons left, just trying to enjoy it all and trying to, I'm really enjoying the grind and really, taking it all in and really trying to do my best. And, I think that's coming out in my play.
I don't want to push you out the door, but have you thought about the next step? We've seen a lot in the last few years. I'm thinking about Pat Onstad of guys who have kind of nicely segued from one stage of their career to the next step of their career. Have you thought about that at all?
Oh, absolutely. It would be foolish of me with a wife and 3 kids not to think about that and not to try and plan for it. It's just the hardest part of that is if you find yourself planning too much for it, then you're gonna forget about what you're doing, and I think the end will come up a lot sooner. But it would be really naive of me not to try and make sure that I have a few things talked about and working with some people. So it's tough. It's a part of you that from when I was 5 years old playing soccer and all the way up through high school and college, and for the past 16, 15 years. It's a big part of me and a big part of who I am is eventually gonna be gone. So it's tough at 38, 39, 40 trying to reinvent yourself, but it's the way things go.
How do you feel physically though as you enter the season?
I feel great. I think I kind of get a chuckle where people call me the off-injured Matt Reis when for 15 years I basically missed probably 12 games, 13 games. So, it's really, it makes me kind of laugh because I've been very healthy in my whole career, and I've been, there. Even last year I was available for every game. So, I feel good going into the season, and I'm, just excited to try and get the Revs back into the playoff picture.
Do you ever needle Bobby about his last name in relation to he got game?
Jesus, you mean?
Yes. I would throw that around him all the time just to rattle him up a little bit.
Yeah, no, nobody really gives him that much that too much. We have so many young kids now that I think that movie was a little bit before their time.
You mean Diego didn't see he got game back when he was baby?
You know what? I'll have to ask him. It would be very interesting to see how many people have actually seen that movie.
Speaking of Diego, I have a question for you about him. And living in D.C., we watched how the Freddie Adu situation played out. And I talked with Bobby Boswell when he was playing for D.C. United and Freddie Adu was here. And I asked him how do you treat a 14-year-old when you guys are guys in your 20s? Literally, Diego could be your son. And
yeah. I remind him of that a lot.
When you ask him to do stuff for you, it's, hey, I could be your dad. Could be old enough to be your dad.
Yeah.
How is it? How do you guys? I don't want to say relate to him because that might be too much of a disconnect. But how do you, as a keeper, maintain your plugged inness to guys who could, or 16, 17, 18 years old?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things that I enjoy the most is that it does keep me young. Coming out and hearing all the guys talk about all the new stuff, either on Twitter or websites or music or any of that stuff. It really keeps me on the pulse of what's hip. And
You know what? Nothing sounds hipper than you saying it that way, Matt.
that's the reason why I do it. No, but it's good, and I try and help out Diego, and we have a very good relationship, and I get him and beat him up on the soccer tennis court every day. So it's good. He's, I think, a little bit different than Freddie Adu. I think he's a lot more grounded. I think he's got a great family, and not that I don't know anything about Freddie Adu's family, but they're very supportive of Diego, and he's very supportive of them. So it's great to see. It's great to see guys like that, and I know when I was his age, there was no way I could play professionally. But he's doing it, and every year he's getting a little bit more comfortable, and he's just got such a great soccer mind and such a great first touch that his size and his youth doesn't really get affected that much.
Do you think is this the year that he features a bit more in the setup?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think one of the fortunate or unfortunate things when you're a team struggling, young kids and get chances to play. You look at Kellen Rowe, who comes in and plays a ton of games for us last year as a 20, 21-year-old. That it's great for them because they get so much experience, but it's tough for us because we have to rely on such young kids to get it done. So that's the byproduct of struggling a little bit.
I'm going to ask you a question, and the question is, what went wrong last year? But I asked that in a way when I watched the Revs play. I don't think that the team was as bad as people said it was, or as they thought they were going to be in 2012. I thought the team was pretty exciting to watch, especially considering what my expectations of the team were going into the year. What went wrong, in your opinion, on last season, and what are you guys doing in 2013 to make sure that doesn't happen again?
Well, I mean, if you look at our games last year, I think there was 2 games where we lost by more than 1 goal, and that's very very disappointing in that we were so close on so many games that it was usually you could look back at the video and say, okay, this is the one instance, this is the one point where if we finish our chance, great. If we stopped them from scoring, great. And that could have turned in probably like 6 or 7 of our games. So like you said, even though our record wasn't great, I don't think we were very far off at all to being in the playoffs. So, to do that this year, I think having a pretty solid core of guys coming back and not having to break in a new coach and not having to, get a bunch of new players and players coming and going and, obviously losing Shari, who was, quite a big piece to the puzzle for so many years. Having gone through all of that last year, I think is going to set us up for great things this year. And
I also feel like, you lost Shaori during the season last year. You picked up Jerry mid-season. Toha came in late. The team should be a little more settled going into this year with some really talented pieces as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's guys like Juan and even Lee, who we got him after the first couple games. And Lee and Juan and Jerry is another one who was with us, but he was always with Honduran national team. So having those guys around all the time now and getting to know them and how we can use them effectively is only going to help us. So yeah, I think we don't really have those excuses anymore. So we really have to perform out there.
What's the latest on Sair?
He's really working hard. He is. I think he sees the light at the end of the tunnel. It's always going through injuries is probably the hardest thing as a professional athlete, because you're used to being out there and contributing and helping day in, day out, and when you can't do that, it's really, really, really tough mentally, and that's the hardest thing. And I think he finally sees the light at the end of the tunnel. He's been jogging quite a bit and doing a lot of stuff on the field, and with just passing drills that are fairly simple and kind of getting integrated back in with the team that way. So it's something that we don't want to rush it. It's a long season, and we need to make sure that he is 100% to help us.
What have you seen from Andrew Farrell that has impressed or excited you?
Well, I think, first of all, he's a great athlete. And, the thing that really excites me is he's got a soccer mind, and he knows what he's doing out there in terms of trying to find passes and not just blasting the ball away. And, he is trying to combine with people, and he is trying to find the forward's feet and not just, lump a ball forward. He's going to be a good player. It's just, it's going to take him a little time. He's pretty raw in terms of positioning and those kind of things. Plus, he's never really had a definitive position. He's kind of plugged in and filled in wherever he needed to. So he's obviously we decided that he was our guy, so we jumped on him and picked him up first.
I was going to ask you, and I'm glad you brought up the jack of all trades kind of thing. You've had a chance to see him and observe him now for a few months. Where do you see him long term as being his best position that suits his skills? I think on the outside, which gives him the ability to get forward. I think that's probably the best spot for him, which he's a very good defender and physically can get up and down the field. So hopefully he can do that for us. Before I let you go, I got to ask you, what's a reasonable expectation now for New England for the 2013 season?
Say that again. What's
a reasonable expectation for from a fan perspective, and then also in-house? What are you guys expecting of yourselves?
Well, every year that I've played, it's always been make the playoffs. You can see it to the last couple of years that you don't have to be leading the pack the whole entire way. A lot of the times the teams, because of the long season, the teams that do well towards the end and really kind of put things together to, last 2-3 months are the teams that really do well at the end. So for us is to be in the race all the way up to the end and to make sure that, we get one of those playoff spots. And, I definitely think that that's doable. And I definitely think that, we all should be held to that standard at least.
Matt, as a DC United fan, I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Well, that's kind of shocking.
That's why I said it. I'm like, wow, I'm really getting along with Matt Reis here. This is not what I expected.
I thought for sure you would say that I was dead to you, like everybody else in DC does.
Do you enjoy that though? Do you, and especially as a keeper, and when a lot of times it doesn't happen in DC, but the supporters groups are right on your back. Is it hard sometimes not to interact with those guys and to kind of just pretend you're blocking it all out, or are you really blocking it all out? No, I mean there's obviously times when the ball's at the other end of the field, and you're still focused on what's going on, but you'll hear everything. But yeah, no, it's great. I think that's what's making the league so much better is that you have the supporters groups that are really coming to the forefront and really kind of pushing these teams and these franchises along. And having such epic games against DC's and Chicago's, and always having that go with the fans, and I think you're doing something right if you're not necessarily hated, but if you're a villain for the teams that you play against. So I think that's kind of what we're doing right. I think in the last couple of years in terms of the MLS is embracing the supporters and really trying to ratchet that up even more and
and get the communities and the towns and the cities behind what we're doing.
What's the best burn that you got on the road? And by best burn, I mean the one that you chuckled internally, but you didn't want to give them the satisfaction knowing that, you know what, that was a good one. That was funny. I'll give you that.
Yeah, no, it's when, the fans do their homework. I remember, I think it was in Salt Lake back when they played at the stadium in Utah, at Utah University, whatever. Someone said something about called my wife's name and said, tell Nicole we said hi. And, that's whenever you do your homework, it's the same thing with a good prank. If there's a backstory and there's, something to it, it always makes it a little bit better. If somebody just says, your mom sucks, Yeah,
but when they take the time, they do the research, and then they come out with the notes of going, oh, this is Matt Reis's mom's name, and that's what we're going to say.
Yeah.
That you tip your cap to.
Yeah. No, that when you say, okay, well, at least you're not just going for the vanilla stuff.
Yeah, you're putting the work in. I applaud that.
You respect that.
Matt, as a fellow Baldy and as a fellow old head, I secretly do root for you to do well in all of your endeavors, especially this year, except not against United.
I'll try to remember that, but as you get older, your memory kind of goes.
All right. Well, I'm hoping as you're walking out, you think in yourself, "Oh wait, Roach said to not do well in this match." So you know what? Now I gotta submarine the whole team here.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Worth a try. Matt Reis, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
No problem.